Do what thou will be the whole piece of law.
Okay, let's just light some to make this easier. Incense, that is, but okay. I bestow unlimited power and potential to you in the direction of my cosmic ship of destiny. It's something that I've been contemplating for a while, but I've decided to make the leap and reach into the ether and create something rather than participate in the endless cycle of consumption. So I'm making this channel, Worm Speaker. I will speak on behalf of all of the real and the unreal that may exist in the universe. And I just want to state that I work full-time. This is a hobby, at least for now, so expect something every 2 weeks when I can bang it out on my days off. But I think everyone has a purpose. Everyone has a reason for thinking like they do, and I think it's healthy to find a positive aspects of, bad or incomprehensible things. People who make ARGs want to convey a message, or even people who create media that may seem incomprehensible or to have no meaning. Schizophrenic ramblings on the wall of prisons. They still created something because they see patterns or they see other things that may not be as acceptable to others or outside of the thought processes of those who look in and say, what were they thinking? But it's breaking the hermeneutic circle, if you will, the cycle of thinking and hermeticism. That's why I'm thinking. I want to start out with some ideas that I had, things that I just had in the back of my mind. I want to keep a slightly comedic tone. It's very easy to fall into the too serious or unserious, and I want to ride the line very finely. I think you should take everything seriously, but I feel it is necessary to relieve the gaps with a little bit of humor now and then, especially if you're familiar with any of these that I'm about to say, because especially I'm looking for things that fit a specific idea. An idea of, first of all, you may have not seen anywhere else, and second of all, that it is deep enough to find meaning in. Everything can find meaning in, but I like longer, deep dives into things rather than a short 2.5 minute, here's what this piece of media means. And my initial ideas are, first of all, covering Francis E. Deck. I've said it a lot to my friends and anyone who will listen, in fact, that he has one of the most interesting stories that, if you take it fully as real, is probably one of the most insane worldviews that I have ever viewed. And spiraling off of that into the book Kooks, could do some deep dives into just the people in that book. It would be very easy to make a video out of every single one of them. Things that could be considered conspiracies, people who were schizophrenic to begin with, or just normal people who have crazy views. Well, crazy to the neurotypical, I suppose. The second is the Library of Solomon. It's a collage of mystic and occultist media that I found a while ago. It certainly has enough content to just reach your hand in and writhe around in the viscous liquid for effectively ever. But I think it could be a good series if I don't get attention right away. Not that that's a problem. I'm not going to do the needy streamer overload of, I'm only on for a month, and if I don't get enough attention, you'll never see me again. I'm hoping to keep this as a permanent thing, no matter how much attention I get. So don't be worried if you're the one who sticks around and the rest all flit away like ashes spiraling out of an active fire. I will always stay with you, no matter what. The last is the Voynich manuscripts. I know it's quite derivative and probably the most overexposed of anything that I've mentioned so far. There are entire channels and archives dedicated to exposing this type of thing, but I think it's a good place to start with what I want to cover in the future. especially if I can bring this to where I can be doing, like a 12-hour video on like Atlas Shrugged or something, or House of Leaves, because I know there are some really good deep dives on House of Leaves, but I would like to do my own at some point. But I just don't have the time to get things out in a timely manner. Or if you just need a general suggestion, I like occultist media. I do believe in magic to some degree, but more in the sense of magic as an extent of a way to channel human desires. You wouldn't see me talking about anything like Vril, although I would talk about it in the sense of, here's what it is and I'd like to explain it, but I don't think I could seriously believe in anything like Vril. Magic, I do believe exists just because of the propensity for humans to want to believe in a higher power. I don't want to go into my personal beliefs, but beyond that at least. But it is a good angle to have. I want to cover occultism, cults, religions people may not understand. But I could also, if I need to take a severe detour, I suppose I could also stream on a regular basis. I do play video games, not the type that you'd think based on how this has been going, but I could do that. I do have time after my shifts, but it would be, ungodly late. But I set out a little bit of a roadmap. I know I have big plans and big dreams, and I don't know how many of you have heard of hypersigils, but here it is. And if you really believe in my messaging, and you truly believe in me and my ability to succeed, just save it, or take it, or post it somewhere, and I'll know. Because hypersigils are a way to connect us all together. It's a way to connect us without being connected. And I feel like if we keep that connection, we'll be unstoppable. But yes, I was talking about a roadmap. At 1 sub, I will post another video, even though I do that anyway. So I could just subscribe to myself. It'll be like the one, that image of the one guy who's like, 1 like and I'll do blank. That's me. One sub and I'll post a video. At 50 subs, I guess I'll do a Q&A. I will answer every single one of my first 50 subscribers' questions. So feel free to get in while you can on that blessed offer. I'm sure there will be more, but I will enshrine the first 50 followers in a way that no one else will, because you believed in me when I was still almost nothing. Probably at, like I said, very vague, at 100K, I'll do an in-depth review of the works of Francis Parker Yockey. He's a figure that I always thought was a little insane, more delving into geopolitics, mainly because I found a few examples of his autobiographies online, people doing little character analyses, and I thought he was another character like Francis E. Deck that I just really enjoy dipping my hands into his deep, viscous brain fluids. Later on, I guess, in the future, I want to do, at maybe, let's say 250K, do a review of Vermod and Vermod Library of Books. Very small publishing company, but they published a lot of, I would say, schizophrenic political literature back in like 2013. And I haven't seen much of it covered, mainly because I'll have to heavily censor it based on the content and preliminary lookings at all the books. Let's say 500,000, I do a 12-hour video on Atlas Shrugged and maybe just Ayn Rand as a whole. I can't promise that it'll be 12 hours long, because I don't want to say, it's going to be 12 hours long, and then I extend it to 12 hours just by putting like a black screen at the end. But to be fair, someone made like a 12-hour 2-Fort video, so I suppose you can always go deeper. At 1 million, I guess that's the point that I'll just start, memeing around, I suppose. I'll just post some, I'll just make an OnlyFans for feet pics. Nah, but 5 million, I'll just expand it to nudes, and then 10 million, you'll get the face reveal. All of them will be tasteful. It's really hard to say, but thank you for listening if you made it this far. I really appreciate your dedication, and I hope you stick around, because I have a feeling, no matter what happens, we together are destined for great things. Oh, and one last thing. Subscribe.